Hi, my name is Louka Goetzke, and in this video I will share with you parts of my PhD research investigating how contemporary gender transitions unfold. I'm 3 years into my PhD in sociology at Goethe University in Frankfurt in Germany, and in the next minutes I will give you a brief overview over my new materialist ethnographic research on gender transitions in Germany. So I started a project because I felt that there was lots of boundary drawing around trans and transitions going on in different areas. Thinking, for example, of negotiations of what is trans and what counts as a transition, and the production of trans as a category or an identity in the medical and legal sphere, in trans communities and in society at large. Also thinking of individuals wondering if they are really trans or trans enough, or, for example, of past and present butch and trans boundary drawings. So I'm interested in how gender transitions and trans subjectivities get formed by such various boundary drawings, understanding gender transitions and trans subjects as the product of such everyday processes of differentiation. In order to explore how these processes allow for gender transitions and transitioning subjectivities to emerge, my research explores them, linking trans studies and their focus on the formation of transsubjectivity with new materialist sociology, emphasizing the material discursive production of the world we live in. So I want to understand how the boundaries of gender transitions and transitioning subjects are produced and maintained and shifted, and what gets excluded in these everyday processes, differentiating doing gender transitions from doing gender in a non-transitioning way, and how those exclusions come to matter. In order to understand the boundary-making processes producing gender transitions, I conducted a new materialist ethnography in Germany over the last 3 years. And I started by interviewing people who transition, and then these interviews built the vantage point for further data collection via observations and reenactments, tracing elements which participated in their specific transitioning processes. And this led to a set of data comprising documents from psychiatric examinations of study participants, specific legal regulations, self-help books, clothing items, sex toys, blogs, and other online platforms, as well as observations of videos and TV shows and offline spaces, such as surgeries, counseling centers, and support groups. To account for the ways in which all these different elements co-constitute gender transitions, I approach gender transitions as assemblages. Taking the gender transition assemblage as the primary focus of analysis, the human individual is no longer the privileged locus where gender happens. So by not positing entities with pre-existing attributes, such as, for example, a trans individual, but exploring the relations composing, decomposing, or modifying an individual and augmenting or diminishing its power to act, it is possible to describe how different entities get formed and participate in the formation of gender transitions, by tracing and rebuilding these processes of differentiation, assuming that past differentiation processes leave a trace during their material becoming. The outcome of the process of analysis is a meticulous description of the boundary drawing practices producing gender transitions and transitioning subjectivities, of how the boundaries get drawn, solidified, and shifted. And elements in the assemblage, such as, for example, medical recordings or new clothing items, only exist within and in this sense are inseparable from their relations. Gender transitions then become evident as transitions through the configurations of boundaries and dualisms. The gender transition assemblage, in this sense, is not a stable entity, but one that is constantly in flux. And the bodily or social transformation becomes possible through the figuration of changing and unchanging participants. For example, when documenting such changes with the comparison of photographs, videos, and audio recordings before, during, and after surgical or hormonal interventions. The setup, so the camera or the vocalized sentence, remain the same and mark the difference to the changing body. Change is then generated at the formation of thresholds along the dividing lines between past and present, inside and outside, permanence and change, or natural and culturally generated. Describing all these different processes within a relational understanding of gender transitions shows the nonlinear temporality of transitioning processes and also exposes the fallacy of a cis-trans divide by destabilizing key pillars of a hegemonic Western notion of gender transitions, which construes an incongruence between body and mind and a need to align them as their co-motive. It provides an empirically based alternative to such dualistic narratives and many prevalent accounts of the becoming of gender transitions. Attending to the material discursive formation of the gender transition assemblage means also that the possibilities to reconfigure the assemblage don't only emerge from human intention and action, and are in this sense also not fully constrained by discursive practices. So this means that agency is about the transformation of possibilities of change implied by the reconfiguration of material discursive assemblages of the production of bodies, which then allows to really specify movements and shifts which will bring a desired change about for making trans lives more livable. So thank you for watching this video and for listening, and feel free to get in touch if you want to discuss this, if you have any questions, or if you're working on something similar.